fibromyalgia in itself for me is the pain. You can get the pain in the muscles as well as nerve pain in most of the joints of the body. And when it is pretty bad, there's nothing I can do except lie down. And I've sort of been able to condition myself that when the pain is bad, I literally lie on a bed and I shut down. And usually I can lay on the bed for about an hour and it sort of recharges me and enables me to get on and do it a little bit more. But that's all you can do. You can actually do a bit, then rest, and then carry on and try and do a bit more. And you do it that way. I mean, I look after my wife at home, so therefore, I've got to think of her more than I think about myself. You can change within a matter of half an hour from feeling fine in one respect to the next minute to be in pain or just joint problems. Hot flushes. Terrible hot flushes. I always thought women had that, but I found otherwise. But no, I've got so used to it now, to be quite honest. You just take it as it is. The first one that was diagnosed was cervical myopathy, which is joints in the neck. In my case, it's between C4 and C7. The three joints are fused together and also trapped nerves. So that's what gives me chronic pain, and it affects literally the top half of my body. And about 2 years after that started, I was told I actually also had fibromyalgia, which again, that actually causes all sorts of pain in the muscles, in the nerves, which affects the whole body. So it can come on very suddenly, and it can change from getting up in the morning, going in the shower, and fine, and the moment you come out of the shower, you feel like you've worked about 15 hours and you're absolutely useless. You have to lie down, and I just lie down for an hour or so and then get up and carry on and do a bit more and go that way. But eventually from that, I also got osteoarthritis, which all seemed to come from the initial cervical myopathy, which caused pain right down into the right wrist. And now the right wrist is what was diagnosed with arthritis. So there's no cure for it. I have to live with it, so I live with painkillers, and that's it. When the accident happened, it was purely I was sitting down at my desk and I reached up into a cupboard to pull out a lever arch file, and it was quite a heavy one. And as I pulled it out, somebody put it on a higher shelf than it should have been. The weight of it caused me to drop it, and pain shot all the way up my arm. I thought, stupid idiot, shake it as you do. After about half an hour, I went to lift something, and the same pain shot again. And with that, I ended up going to the hospital. And they initially looked at it and said, he said, you've got a trapped nerve. And take some anti-inflammatories and go and see your doctor. This was on a Friday, and he said, go and see the doctor on Monday, because you won't get into a surgery now. And by then, it went round, and then they said, right, we'll do more amitriptyline, gabapentin, and then that was in the January. In the April, I actually flew to London and had an MRI scan. Followed up by, I had a consultation with a consultant neurosurgeon in Winchester. And that was when I found out that I had problems with neck joints. And it was a case of wait, it could cure itself in 12 months, or they'd have to look at it further and see how serious it was gone. In my case, I went back had another scan a year later, and I saw a different neurosurgeon. And that's when I found out that, I had problems. To the point where it was up to me to decide whether I had an operation. But He told me what the options were on that operation, and it was a case of a 30% chance that I'd get some improvement, a 30% chance I'd get no improvement, and a 30% chance that I would remain the same, and a 10% chance I wouldn't wake up. And I said, thank you very much, I won't go any further. Because I'd rather put up with the pain and suffer that way than take those sort of chances on the table.
Does he lots of tests, right? There's no one test for fibromyalgia?
No, well, to say mine at the time on that condition was the cervical myopathy. But then it was after that when I suddenly found that the pain, instead of it being just in the head and the neck and the arms, ended up by being in all the other joints on my body. And I thought it was just referred pain, as it was mentioned to me at one point. Malcolm was, unbeknown to me, trying all these different things and checkups. And that's when he turned around after about a 12 month and said, you've got fibromyalgia as well. Oh yeah, I've had blood tests and all that sort of thing. You know, I've literally gone through the mill on but there's no cure for fibro. And unfortunately with me, I've got 3 things and there's no cure for any of them. So that's why I've literally set my mind that you take it as things go. You know, it's my bad luck. That's what I've got, so I've got to live with it. I know one of the doctors turned around to me at one time and he said, I bet you feel that the medical profession has, dealt you a raw deal and haven't done very well by you. And I said, no. I said, I know this doctor very well. And I said, if you could have done something, you would have done it.
Right. That's good to hear confidence, because normally it's the other way around. So
yeah, no, he was the one that instituted me going to London.
Yeah.
As a private patient, and also on to Winchester. So, I had no problems in the treatment I received. It was just unfortunate they couldn't do damn well for me. With this condition, I've gone through 4 GPs. They keep retiring on me. After 15 years, they don't last very long.
Do they understand the condition?
Yeah, they do. I've been most fortunate. The first doctor was Tony O'Donnell, who was very good. And then it was Malcolm Chamberlain and Bruce Mackay. And now I'm with Nick King. I've been with him now for the last nearly 2.5 years. But unfortunately, he was off ill for a period, so we're only really getting on a knowledgeable basis. He only found out last month or the month before, that I had the cervical myopathy.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when he found out I had it, he said, "Oh yeah, but what operation did you have?" And I said, "I didn't have one.
Okay.
It was actually done at work that it came about." Well, work when I was working was very understanding, really. They used to keep a fold-up bed for me in one of our boardrooms, and whenever I wanted, I used to go off in that room, shut the door, and open the bed up, and I'd lay down for an hour, which would help me. But I found that I went from working 12-hour days to about 6, and then it even reduced down to less. And at one time, I had to stop altogether. But then I got so annoyed that I couldn't work that it got me more upset and more stressed out that I approached the state and the doctors and said, "Look, I've got to go back." So it was a catch-22, and I played with it as it was, and did what one could.
Sounds like your work was very understanding, which is great. So
They were. I mean, as I say, it started in January 2001, but I actually stopped work in April of 2005 because I just couldn't carry on any further. And in fact, at the time when my doctor stopped me working, he told me he was amazed that I lasted that long. He only expected me to last about 18 months. So, being a typical Guernsey man, I'm a bit obstinate. And I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed the job. And you know, I'd done it 30 odd years, so that was it. You know, without the flexibility, you would just get so stressed out, which would aggravate the pain and everything else. So to have a good employer is a major factor. When I was having a really bad day, I've known to literally stand with my hands against the wall and literally hitting the wall with my head because the pain was so bad. But people used to just ignore it, and they just let me carry on and do my thing, and that was a good side, because you know, you feel you're so embarrassed at the time of what's happening, and yet there's nothing you can do about it. And the more people can just let you carry on and do it your way, then the better you feel. You know what I mean?
You didn't feel judgment?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. You know, I knew I was doing the best I could. And as long as they allowed me to carry on, then that was fine. And fortunately, as I say, they were quite happy. I was middle management at the time, so I suppose it helped.
Yes, that's good.
I mean, I socialise very little. I used to socialise quite a lot. I used to be quite athletic. But from the age of 58, which is when this occasion happened, and in fact it was on the 18th of January 2001, my social side of life is really severely curtailed. Because you can't guarantee how you're going to feel. As far as evenings go, then I just write them off, because I can be totally exhausted by 8 o'clock in the evening, or even before. So, you know, you just take life as it comes, really, and you live with what you've got and you carry on. But there's not much else one can do about it. You can't exercise too much, because if you start doing any form of exercise, you find that it affects your joints, it affects your muscles and pain, so therefore you give it up. Wow. It's hard to really explain it, but no, it just doesn't work. As far as my family is concerned, yeah, obviously they were very concerned for me. They could see what I was going through, and but at the same time, they also knew there was nothing they could do about it. So I was quite happy just to be accepted, to left to do what I could. And that way I was quite happy. But you do feel pretty inadequate at times, you know. And, well, you don't talk about it so much, because nobody really wants to know how bad you are, because nobody wants to talk about it. So you ignore it, basically. And I just got on the understanding that every day is a new day, and I start a fresh day every morning. And sometimes it's like last night, I didn't sleep at all. So I slept about 1 hour since the night before last. But that's not. It can be hard for people to understand what you've got, because the simple reason people look at you, and there's nothing wrong with you, as far as they're concerned. You know, how do you get people to understand that you feel absolutely lethargic and painful and aching muscles? It doesn't show, and yet I don't know. How can you get people to understand that? It's a very difficult thing. Most people with our condition tend to shut away. And to say, like me, I'll go and lie on the bed and recharge myself that way to be able to carry on and do things. And you just make do. I mean, one of my nephews has actually got the same condition, at fibro. And he's found he manages it he's changed his complete diet. And he can do it, and he does a lot of exercise. And for him it works, which is great. But although my diet is I keep pretty strict on, but the exercise, no, I can't do that. Certainly with the arthritis as well, that's kicked in. So that cuts that out for me. But no, I find a rest to recharge the batteries and then get back on and do things and not give up. And that's the way I do it.
Good attitude.